Kansas City has one more week to put together its response to a lawsuit filed over the police budget and who gets control of it.
But the biggest battle in this fight right now has to do with the state constitution. KCTV5's Betsy Webster talked with a legal expert about that part of the argument. And Betsy, at 6 o'clock, you told us there was a racial component to this fight.
Excuse me?
Betsy, at 6 o'clock, you told us that there was a racial component to this.
Oh, absolutely. Beginning with what was behind the Civil War era institution of a state board controlling the St. Louis Police Department, all the way up to what remains a pretty dramatic demographic difference between the state and its two largest cities.
State control in Missouri began in the 1800s, motivated, the court motion argues, by quote-unquote segregationist governors trying to take power from the more civil rights sympathetic cities of St. Louis and Kansas City.
That's not a fake story. That's the real story. That's the truth for St. Louis and for Kansas City.
St. Louis University Law School professor Brendan Roediger says it's apt framing for the contemporary issue at hand. City lawmakers who want to try new approaches to crime prevention but are stuck in a system where the city provides the funding for the PD but has no say over how it's allocated. That is regulated by a board of commissioners, including the mayor and 4 commissioners appointed by the governor.
This is about taxation without representation.
Urban League CEO Gwen Grant is seeking to intervene as a taxpayer, more specifically, an African-American taxpayer. The motion notes that African Americans are nearly 30% of Kansas City's population, but less than 12% of the state population, and political representation follows accordingly. Quote, by making the composition of 80% of the Board of Police Commissioners dependent on the outcome of the gubernatorial election, African American Kansas Cityans are deprived on political influence in violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, end quote.
This voting argument, that the board itself dilutes the vote of Kansas City residents, and in particular dilutes the votes of African American Kansas City residents.
And he said that he was not going to guess or speculate on whether the judge would rule favorably on that motion. A new judge was assigned today. The previous judge, by the way, did order that the city put the budget back to where it was before, temporarily. Live in Kansas City, Missouri, Betsy Webster, KCTV5 News.
Thank you, Betsy.